Welcome to your weekly astrological forecast for the week of Monday, February 14th through Sunday, February 20th. Uh, this week there's a whole laundry list of things happening. Mercury's changing signs, going into Aquarius. So we're finally done with, the Mercury retrograde from a few weeks ago. Mercury's fully direct, going forward, moving into Aquarius, so moving on to new things there. We also have a full moon this week in Leo, and so that will be exciting and it's definitely one of the more fun and theatrical full moons, I think. So that's maybe something fun for us. We also have Venus and Mars making that exact conjunction. I talked before about how Venus and Mars are pretty much conjunct all this month. They're traveling together in this really unique, kind of rare dance that they're doing, where Venus has come off its retrograde and is going direct now, and so it's going a little bit slower than usual. So that's allowing it to travel, right alongside by side Mars. So they're, like I said, they're pretty much conjunct. They're traveling together all this month, and they'll actually enter Aquarius on the same day. But they technically make an exact conjunction this week, so that's something to talk about. We also have the sun changing signs, moving into Pisces this week, so we'll start the Pisces season. So happy birthday, Pisces! Um, we also have Jupiter sextiling Uranus, which it is just a sextile. Sextiles aren't usually such a big deal. They're kind of minor aspects. They're harmonious though, so that's nice. But these are two outer, relatively outer planets, so aspects between the outer planets are rare, and so that is definitely something noteworthy. We really don't see aspects between such slow-moving planets very often, so that will be exciting, I think, for sure, and I'll get more into that. And then the last thing here I'm going to rattle off before I get into the actual forecast is America's Pluto return, which I've kind of talked a lot about before. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but I've mentioned it a few times now. That will be exact three times this year, one in February, one in July, and then for a final time right before New Year's at the end of December of this year. And so we're experiencing the first of three exact Pluto returns for the United States of America this week. So that's a big deal. This is something I've been waiting for years, and it's America's first Pluto return. It's taken this many years, around 250 years just for Pluto to make one cycle, and so that's a big deal. It has a lot of ramifications. And before I get into the actual forecast, I was just thinking of something that an astrologer said. I have no idea who said this, so they'll have to remain nameless. It was a long time ago. But they're looking at the the transits and the aspects for affecting the country of America for the 2020s, and they're saying if America was a person, you'd almost want to go to them and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, maybe step them aside and say like, "You need to take some time off work or something." I love that idea of going to a country with that type of attitude because that's exactly how I would feel if America was a country. There's so much going on this decade. So this is the first aspect of many actually that are, really rare, like a really big deal that can really transform everything, really dramatically change everything. So this will be the first one. And the reason why I kind of am delving into this a little bit is because the second major aspect of this decade for the United States will happen very soon on March 1st, actually. So it's so that will be not in my next forecast after this one, but the one after that. America will have its Neptune opposition, and let's just play around with this. Let's pull up America's chart here. So you can see here in this chart, so there's Pluto at 27 degrees Capricorn, where it pretty much is now. And then you can see, so this is America's chart, by the way. This is the chart of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And the reason why I'm going into this is because affects everyone. It doesn't even matter if you live in this country where I am, the United States. America, for better or for worse, is a world leader. And so what happens here affects the entire globe, but I think we can all agree on that. So this is a big deal. This is really important what happens to this country. So not only is Pluto, pretty much lined up to where it was at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, but also you can see in this chart Neptune is at 22 degrees and 25 minutes of Virgo. And if we jump to the chart right now, you can see Neptune is approaching the opposition of that point. it's not in Virgo, it's in Pisces, so it's all the way across. So compared to America's chart, it would be down here. So it's almost making that exact opposition to where it was when the country was founded. So that's a big deal too. You know, of course, it's not in this week's forecast, so I'll get into that later. But I'm just saying there's major things happening to this country. I think we can all see that, and I was initially a little hesitant. I was a little scared, I'll be honest. But now that we've gotten a little bit closer and I can kind of cheat a little bit and see already where this is kind of going, I'm optimistic, and I'm an optimist at my core. I think there is a chance for some kind of revolution in this country. I don't think it will be a literal like revolutionary war. We don't so much fight physical wars like we used to if we can help it. You know, so I don't think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, there's a chance for a revolution. There's a chance for freedom. Pluto does destroy things, but it destroys whatever is not working, whatever is not just or of value, not whatever is not competent. That's what Pluto destroys to make room for the new. And so anyway, these are very exciting times. So without further ado, let me get into this forecast here. All right, let's start on Monday, February 14th. So two planets, if we want to call the moon a planet, change signs today. Moon enters Leo, and Mercury will enter Aquarius later in the day. Let's go forward to around noon here. Um, so yeah, so these are both kind of a big deal, each for their own different reasons. The moon is entering Leo, where it will be full. It's going to be a full moon at the very end of Leo, so we've still got a couple days. But even by this point, the moon will be pretty full in the sky, lighting things up at night, wherever you are. And once a moon or a planet or the moon in this case enters the sign that it will make a rather intense aspect like this, we already start to feel that aspect. So in other words, the moon isn't full yet, but it's in Leo where it will be full, and therefore we're already kind of beginning to feel the energies of the full moon kind of starting to ramp up here. And this is a particularly potent one. This is a fire full moon, Leo full moon that is emerging. And especially, with this opposition between Sun and Aquarius, Moon and Leo, I think this is one of the more fun full moons in my personal subjective opinion. These are combining two signs that are both very individualistic, and these are both fixed signs, so they're both very strong-willed, maybe stubborn at times, but they both kind of like a party. They both like interacting with other people, and full moons in general are kind of good for like a party vibe. There's a lot of activity, there's a lot of high strong energy. People are more active, more outgoing, more expressive anyway. So especially when you put that into the context of Aquarius and Leo, which are rather active signs, expressive signs, they both can be kind of rebellious and very expressive of their unique opinions and such anyway. What you get is definitely an energy where we're all more outgoing, more active, more energetic, more maybe more sociable, that type of thing. So on the one hand, the downside of this would be things can be very dramatic at this time. Leo's a dramatic, theatrical sign, so we can already feel and experience these themes of, maybe people are going overboard, overindulging, or overexpressing themselves, maybe being a little bit belligerent. That's definitely a possibility. There could also be more accidents happening when there's more activity in general under transits like this. There can be, of course, more accidents on the road, more hospital visits, etc. So that's the downside. But then the plus side would be this is a good party energy, good energy for being spontaneous, being outgoing, sociable, and just having fun with it. Leo likes to have fun. It's one of the most fun-loving signs, if not maybe the most fun-loving sign. So that's the positive side of this. And then Mercury, of course, changing signs to Aquarius. This is, this is good, right? So Mercury likes to be in Aquarius. Mercury has a hard time in this whole general sector of things, right? Because it's in detriment in Sagittarius, and then Capricorn, it does okay in, but Capricorn is such a forward-looking sign, and Mercury is usually more immediate. It's more about the kind of the immediate moment. And Capricorn's like, dreaming up these big plans, and Mercury likes to do things small, so it's kind of out of place in Capricorn. And then later, once it gets into Pisces, it's in fall and detriment, so that's no good. So really, this whole corner of the zodiac, Mercury has a really hard time. So that, it's not the best. Winter is not necessarily the best time for the things that Mercury represents. So thinking and planning and editing, all these kind of little picture things. Winter is more for dreaming. It's more for kind of the larger and slower states of mind and themes that we deal with. So, it really is kind of out of sync with Aquarius. However, Mercury does get kind of a break once it enters, or excuse me, it's out of sync with Mercury. I think I said Aquarius. But Mercury does get kind of a break when it enters Aquarius. So much so that modern astrologers would argue that Mercury is actually exalted in Aquarius. I don't particularly subscribe to that, but I will definitely say that Aquarius is a highly functional sign for Mercury. Um, the reason is that when Mercury is in Aquarius, um, the, that energy facilitates us being very broad-minded in our thinking, being very open to um, other ideas that may be complicated or nuanced, ideas that may contradict our own. Aquarius has an open mind, is open to contradictions from itself. Aquarius is also stubborn, though. There's that side of it. So, we are strong-willed still. We're firm in our thinking, and so that's important as well. So yes, all in all, this is really highly functional sign for Mercury, and especially since Mercury has come off that retrograde and is gaining momentum now, is starting to kind of speed up. It'll be traveling really fast pretty soon here, as it continues through Aquarius. Um, so yeah, so what you have basically, you have increased momentum, increased thinking, communication. And this is great too because all the planets are direct. I keep saying that, but it's really a big deal. All planets are direct. So especially with Mercury kind of joining the team, bringing that energy, we're thinking more quickly. We're doing things more. There's less friction or pushback. There's less delays at this time. So now's the time to go to do something. Mercury is supporting that. Mercury is supporting that with I don't know, just Aquarius is also an air sign, so things are kind of lighter at this time. So when you have that kind of light, detached energy, it's easy to think quicker and to speak, more quickly, more effectively. So that's really great. The mercurial energy is there. We're able to be detail oriented, to think with details, to plan things, etc. So that's great, and it also brings increased mobility as well. Okay, going forward to February 15th, Moon is still in Leo, of course. Remember, it's pretty much full, but not quite, not yet today. But still, we have already the themes of that again. So, remember what I said for Monday, that continues into Tuesday with the theatrics, the drama, the fun, happy-go-lucky energy. All that continues and it's ramping up here to the full moon. Meanwhile, we also have the sun squaring the nodes. This is probably something that I don't know if a lot of astrologers talk about, but sun is at 27 degrees Aquarius. You can see here the north node is at 27 degrees Taurus, and then the south node is, of course, exactly opposite. So it's not shown here, but it's at 27 degrees Scorpio. So this makes it T square. Sun is making a 90-degree angle, a square aspect to both the north node and the south node, if you can kind of picture that there. So what this means is we're exactly halfway between eclipse seasons. Eclipse season, of course, happens twice a year, and these are times where everything kind of changes, especially if it lines up with something in your chart. Eclipse seasons, they change everything. It's related to like fate. So, fateful things happen that will change your destiny. Dramatic kind of life changes happen sort of centered around the eclipse seasons. So they have that impact. So what does it mean when we're halfway between eclipse seasons? This is sort of a turning point, if you will. So we're as far away from the the dramatic changes that the eclipse seasons bring. We're as far away from that as possible. So this can be a time of stability. However, it can also be a time of a transition point. So we're halfway between coming off of the dramatic changes that were um, brought on by last eclipse season. So that was back in on like November, like Sagittarius season. We're halfway between kind of adjusting to those changes and making room or leading up to the changes that will come in the next eclipse season, which will be like around May in kind of late Taurus season. So maybe May, April, or yeah, May. something like that. Um, so we're about halfway between. So there could be some kind of turning point. So if you can think back to, did any large changes happen for you around November, middle of fall last year? Because there may be some kind of turning point. It may be subtle. This isn't something super dramatic that would change your life necessarily, but there could be some kind of turning point that marks the halfway point between these two eclipse seasons. So that's just something interesting, something worth noting for sure. Okay, going forward to Wednesday, February 16th. Uh, this is the day where Venus and Mars make the exact conjunction. Now, um, and there's also the full moon on this day. Now, by this time, you can see the moon is already in Virgo. It will make that full moon aspect, that opposition with the sun, and then pretty much immediately right after that go into Virgo. Um, so I like this. So first, let's talk about the full moon. I already talked about it a lot, I guess, but it is, like I was saying before, it's a strong-willed energy. It's a theatrical party energy. We are comparing and contrasting, combining the sun in Aquarius at 28 degrees with the moon in Leo at 28 degrees, making that exact opposition. So we're we're fully experiencing and being immersed in the themes of the Aquarius Leo axis, which have to do with self-expression and individuality. Leo, of course, is more self-centered or more focused on the self. It also has a big heart, though. There is Leo shines its compassion toward others. It shares that energy. And Sun in Aquarius, it deals with many of the same themes of, it's more focused on the group, but also combining or integrating into the group the will of the individual. So how does the individuality combine with the group? How does one express themselves in a group context, etc. How do you express yourself in the context of the far future or the big picture of society or your tribe or community, etc. So combining these two, it does have a lot to do with self-expression, individuality, but also on a more mundane level, these are fun energies. Aquarius and Leo like to make a reaction. They like to be provocative. They like parties because they thrive off the energies of other people, and they like to get kind of wild. They have maybe a belligerent side or a reckless side at times. But yeah, I think this is a really fun, loving full moon. So again, the negative side would be it can be a little bit intense, especially for people who are more introverted or more just wanting to relax. This is a very high energy type of dynamic here. So it's not the best for resting and relaxation. It's more geared up for partying or, getting some work done, being ambitious maybe, or, just doing something that requires a lot of energy, basically. Um, let's see here. And what else? And again, with any full moon, especially this one, especially such a fiery, energetic full moon, you run the risk of more accidents happening because if everyone's, outside more and more active, doing more things, of course, there could be more accidents or more mishaps, but there can also be more, good memories, good times, good things happening as well. Just kind of a mixed bag there. And I really like that, I like this full moon. I think it's fun, like I said. I think it's a good time to I don't know, to have fun with one another, to be sociable or outgoing. It is on a Wednesday, kind of right in the middle of the week, so that's interesting. Could be an interesting work week. But I like the full moon, but I also like how dramatically it ends. Only a few hours after the exact full moon, the moon enters Virgo, which is such a different energy, especially comparing and contrasting to the sun in Aquarius. So it's almost like we come off the full moon pretty quickly and have this like cool down. So it's dramatic and theatrical, and then we can kind of cool down, relax a little bit. Virgo really kind of shuts down the party. Virgo's not nearly as fun of an energy as Leo. Leo is more, in the moment and just kind of spontaneous and more impulsive and fun-loving. And there's this huge shift when you go into Virgo where it's, the focus isn't on just fun anymore. The focus is on planning and organizing and strategizing, improving things or refining things, fixing problems, etc. So it's not always the most fun things, but it is really great for being productive or improving our situation. So I actually like this just because, like I said, things cool down pretty dramatically and we can kind of relax and maybe the Leo energy and the full moon energy, but those are both fun energies. But I think we can also be overwhelmed by too much of a good thing, and so this moon going into Virgo, I think is really nice. The moon will still be pretty full, so there's still a lot of energy. But in Virgo, it's such a more cool, calm, and collected context of sorts. So that's nice, and it would be nice for, I don't know, getting things done, being productive, etc. And then, like I mentioned, Venus and Mars make this exact conjunction in about halfway through Capricorn on this day as well. And like I said, they're traveling together most of this month. They're pretty much conjunct all month, but there's this exact conjunction in the middle of the week. So Venus and Mars, they're bringing our desire, our pleasure, our ambition to the themes of Capricorn. So the themes of Capricorn are our foundations. There's been a lot of change in this area semi recently since Mercury and Venus were both retrograde in Capricorn, somewhat recently at the end of January. But so there's been changes there. We may have had to kind of rethink and relook at our foundations, and this can be difficult because Capricorn is such a long-term energy. We want our foundations. We want the Capricorn themes to be long-lasting. These are areas of our lives where we set down roots. So this could be, like your home or your job. These things affect us all differently because our charts are different, of course. But for all of us, there may have been some kind of restructuring. We may have re-examined how do we fit into our hierarchy. So, do we respect the people up, quote unquote, above us? Capricorn rules hierarchies, so whoever your boss is, maybe kind of rethinking that dynamic, or rethinking your job. That has to do with Capricorn as well, or any other kind of structure of things as well. Whatever the structure is of your life could be things that you invest in, relationships that you invest in, or literal financial investments. All of these things that we like to have be stable and committed were kind of thrown into question through January, and they needed to be looked at again, and maybe replanning needed to be done there, or reorganizing. So that's over with now. I mean, we're still dealing with those themes. We're still What I mean by that's over with is the questioning and the restructuring is over with now. The destabilizing and the destructuring is over with now. Now that Mercury and Venus are direct, and now that Venus and Mars are conjunct, this is really beautiful for bringing peace there. So we know now what the answer is, how to set up this new structure. We know kind of the answers more so. We're not in the dark like we were with these retrograde periods in January. We know what we need to do now, and we know how to proceed. And Venus and Mars make this relatively easy. Venus brings abundance and pleasure to these areas of structure and putting down new structure in our lives. And Mars brings energy and ambition to this area as well. So together, this is kind of a dream team. We're combining two, kind of opposing yet complementary energies. Venus, which is so feminine, Mars, which is so masculine, but both having much to do with pleasure and desire, attraction. So both are making it relatively easy to make new progress. Restructuring our lives, setting this new structure down. So that's really beautiful, and I think Venus and Mars are a fun energy too, since they have so much to do with desire. So if we are putting work down, Capricorn, putting work into the structure of our lives, this is indicating that it's something that we're having fun doing. It's something we want to do. We, are desiring this this restructuring or this effort into the structure of our lives at this time. So this is really beautiful, really fun, really great for getting work done or making progress in general. So that's really excellent. I definitely love that. Okay, going forward to February 17th. Moon is in Virgo still. And I should mention too, so it's such a more low-key energy. We actually have no planets in fire right now at all as the moon goes through Virgo. All we have is Chiron and Aries, which Chiron is I like to pick on Chiron. It's really not a planet. It's, kind of a dwarf planet, and its effects in astrology are a little bit vague. They're definitely tangible, but they're not as significant as, the real planets, I guess you could say. So we won't count Chiron. We'll just say that there's no planets in fire right now. So I guess the downside of lacking fire is that there could be a little bit less of zest for life. Fire brings so much fun and spontaneity and impulsiveness at times, so that could be lacking. Things could feel kind of, not as exciting with that lack of fire energy. But this is good for being kind of stable, especially with the moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo likes it wants, mediation, it wants consistency, and it wants things to be organized and refined. And so that's, great. And especially combining the sun in Aquarius with the moon in Virgo, these are both kind of fixer energies. They both want to solve problems. They both want to improve things, and they both kind of want to learn as well. There's an intellectual or academic thread that runs through both Virgo and Aquarius. So altogether, I think this is a more low-key energy. We're not, particularly impulsive or rebellious at this time. We're more wanting to kind of, Virgo isn't as good as adding to things as it is kind of refining things. So it's not really like a huge contributor to things. It's more just taking something that's already there and, organizing it or improving on it, that type of thing. So this is altogether, it's kind of a low key energy for the day on Thursday, I would say. We do have a major event though, and that's Jupiter at 11 degrees Pisces, making the sextile to Uranus at 11 degrees Taurus. This I really love. So combining these two energies, because basically these planets, they're aspecting one another, so they're having a sort of conversation. And the nature of this conversation is harmonious. They're in kind of agreement. When we have a sextile like this, sextile is two signs away, it's 60 degrees apart. Um, these are harmonious aspects because the energies are different enough to complement one another, but similar enough to kind of relate. They can integrate relatively easily. So Jupiter in Pisces, especially Jupiter is in domicile in Pisces, it's very spiritual, it's very non-physical. It's about kind of expanding our minds. In Pisces, though, it is kind of a fog, so it's also there's a dichotomy to it. It can expand our minds and be really great for gaining spiritual awareness, but it can also be confusing and, and mystifying. There can be kind of a mist or a fog there. Pisces rules fog and dissolving things, so there can be a lack of clarity for sure. But Jupiter is wanting spiritual awareness, enlightenment, and increased consciousness, etc. It's a very philosophical planet. And we're combining that with Uranus and Taurus, which is bringing a lot of chaos and change to our financial situation, changes to our economy. Our economy has been completely, volatile since Uranus entered Taurus, I believe in 2018. Um, Things have been very up and down. I think we can all experience and understand that pretty well. So this is really interesting. These two energies combining together. Jupiter in Pisces bringing spiritual awareness, and then Uranus and Taurus bringing financial change. I don't know. I think this is could almost be good for maybe a positive restructuring to our finances, to our economy. Something with like the global collective in mind. Pisces, Jupiter and Pisces. Um, and also Jupiter brings abundance. It brings wealth and abundance. So making that connection to Uranus in our sector of money and economy, that can be good as well. That can bring some literal abundance or positive financial changes. And this is all on a very collective level. These are two outer planets. Of course, this trickles down and affects us personally, but um, but this is mostly on a societal level, mostly on a a species level even. Um, but yeah, I do see this potential for maybe a positive restructuring or abundance in our economies in our wealth. And this could also be a lot of new energy. Jupiter expands; it brings newness. I feel like, and Uranus does too. It brings dramatic change. So there could be something really new happening with our finances as well. So I know that's a little bit vague, but that's about as much as I can see. Maybe um, The only downside I could see would be maybe, too much of a good thing. Jupiter expands. There could be almost like a bubble financially, maybe. There's that potential as well. But all in all, this is mostly pretty positive. It looks pretty harmonious. Um, so yeah, definitely something interesting to look at. There could also be dramatic changes to our belief systems. Jupiter in Pisces rules kind of dogma or religion. But it's not just religion, it's belief system. So anything you believe in, astrology could be like a belief system, or I don't know, veganism, or anything really. We're all so opinionated these days, and we're all so kind of cut off into our own little tribes. So I almost don't even want to say anything because we're all sensitive. We are maybe easily offended at this time, but we're all kind of getting deep into our own belief systems with the internet and everything. So there could be some kind of dramatic changes to these the structure of our belief systems as well, whatever those are for you. Friday, February 18th, Sun enters Pisces. So happy birthday, Pisces. This begins the end of winter. This begins the final third of winter. And so this is the end of the whole cycle. Pisces is a big deal because it's the last sign. Um, so Pisces has the what's the word? Pisces has the daunting task of integrating the entire collective. So that's why some people say it's the garbage can sign of the zodiac. It's the sign that combines all the other signs in one because Pisces is the last sign. So it's almost like a dream time. It's this kind of um, spiritual time, but it's a time for reflecting over what happened during this whole year, and let's kind of integrate that. Let's integrate that through experiences or through maybe just rest, maybe sleeping, dreaming. Pisces rules all these kind of usually less physically oriented activities, more intuitive or dreamy, more creative activities because that's the type of thing that you have to do to integrate. Basically, you have to go into these slower states of mind that are more creative or I don't know, dreamy in nature. And that's what you have to do not only to integrate whatever has happened in the past, to fully integrate this whole cycle, but also to manifest what will become the new cycle once we enter Aries. So Pisces is this huge transition time between this whole, cycle that we've been in this whole year, but also kind of clearing things away, making room for the new of what will emerge come spring in the northern hemisphere once the sun enters Aries. Um, so yeah, that's a lot really. On a more mundane level, this especially in the northern latitudes, this is a time of not as so much activity, um, because again, it's that kind of dream time. We're not. You can look to nature, I guess. Like nature is still not very active. It's still winter. You could see maybe just the slight beginnings of spring just kind of hinting around, that's what we experience in the mutable signs. There's almost like this hint or, I don't know, or implication of the next coming season, but it's not there yet. It's not, fully there. By the time the sun is in Aries, then we'll fully kind of be going into the next season. But we're not there yet. We're kind of just dreaming and manifesting. We're pondering and going over what has already happened and reflecting. Um, so yeah, this is a great time for gaining awareness, for integration, as well as for manifesting what will come later. Also on Friday, Moon enters Libra. So this is really nice. I actually like this. Libra looks like it's much later in the evening, so in the very late hours of Friday. So I won't go to that chart to show you, but yeah, it's actually late on Friday or very early on Saturday, depending on where you are. But I do like this. So once the moon enters Libra, well, okay, first when moon is in Virgo, the moon is of course not full anymore, but it's still coming off that full moon. It's kind of waning. It's losing light each night, each day. But as the sun is in Pisces and moon is in Virgo for this kind of part of the day here, we are highlighting the Pisces Virgo axis, And both these signs have to do with integration. Virgo has to integrate a lot too. It's just kind of in the halfway point of the zodiac. So it's integrating between the first half and the, what will become the second half of the zodiac. It's the last sign of the first half of the zodiac. So Virgo's job is not perhaps as daunting as Pisces, which has to integrate a whole, between whole cycles. But Virgo is that kind of middleman, that middle ground, middle child, I guess. Uh, so yeah, both signs have to do with integration. They both have to do much with our health as well. So this is a great time for kind of resting, relaxing, and integrating. Virgo is about hard work as well, organizing. But even through these kind of more mundane tasks, like whatever, like gardening, cooking, cleaning, organizing, all these things are very Virgo, but even these can be relaxing and can allow your mind to drift and wander. And, even through these mundane chores, you can actually gain spiritual enlightenment. So it's kind of a beautiful combination of Virgo and Pisces. So those are the types of energies that we're experiencing, the themes that we might be experiencing on Friday. Really great for doing something kind of creative or organizing, doing something with our hands, or going for a walk, going for a jog, or exercising. Anything where you can kind of allow your mind to drift and wander, because that is where the integration happens, and this is crucial for, we're bombarded with so many different energies and so many different things we have to do. It's crucial to allow ourselves to integrate. That's where the intuition, the psychic energy comes from. So that's the theme of Friday, pretty much. And let's actually go forward to February 19th, since the moon enters Libra so late on Friday / early on Saturday. Let's just say the moon is in Libra starting on Saturday. So this energy I really like. I like it because Libra is conjuncts to Pisces, so on the one hand they are very different and almost kind of don't mesh very well. But if you do look at the similarities between Pisces and Libra, it's rather interesting. These are actually kind of spiritual signs. And I don't know, if you know Libras, you may be thinking, how are Libras spiritual? Libra's not often thought of as a particularly spiritual sign. But it's true, it does have that potential, because Libra puts its ego aside. It's not egocentric really at all. It's more thinking about other people. It's thinking, and it's also very contemplative. So Libra is the scales, but that says a lot, because it's not about itself. It's about the scales. So um, like supposedly, or I would think there's probably someone holding the scales or someone observing the scales, but we're kind of completely disregarding the person who's actually doing the weighing between the scales, and we're just thinking about the scales themselves. So Libra is almost like the person holding the scales, but they completely forget about themselves and are only focusing on whatever they're weighing. And so, disregarding your own ego like that, and being so objective and being so observing, it does put you in a stance that's kind of, ideal somewhat for becoming spiritual, for I don't know, for allowing something greater than yourself to be a part of your world, or, for having those, for, I don't know, being very observing. So anyway, so combining that energy with Pisces, it is, very contemplative, very reflective, very observing, and it does have that potential for spirituality as well. For creativity, these are both kind of artistic signs. They value aesthetics. There's a Venus connection here, since Venus is in domicile in Libra and exalted in Pisces. So this is more of like the feminine duality of things. Libra is technically yang, since it's an air sign, but I would say it's the most yin of the yang, being ruled by, rather feminine planet. Um, so anyway, so what I'm kind of babbling about is that this combining the Sun and Pisces with Moon and Libra, it's more of a kind of creative time, and more of a low key energy, kind of observing, relaxing, pondering, etc. So this is really great for anything creative, or kind of being studious as well. We might not think of this pairing as very maybe highly intellectual, but it definitely has that capability. Einstein was a Pisces, for instance. So combining the energies of Pisces and Libra, it also allows us to kind of when we put our egos aside and we're not so wrapped up in our own thinking and our own subjectivity, we can kind of ask the bigger questions of life and maybe kind of get outside the box a little bit. So definitely some interesting energies to think about for Saturday. I really like this for a Saturday as well because it's um, I don't know. It could be kind of malleable. You can still do kind of whatever you want. We still have Venus and Mars and Capricorn, so that could be really great if you want to get some work done. That those are supporting you, making things easier in that regard. But with the Sun in Pisces and Moon in Libra, this is not the most energetic combination by any means. This is both these energies are more non-physical in nature, like I was saying. So they're not. These really aren't ambitious energies. They're more creative, pondering, more artistic or kind of dreamy energies. So there's kind of a balance here. If you want to rest and relax and integrate things, the Sun and the Moon are supporting that. If you want to get some work done, I don't know, be productive, Venus and Mars are supporting that as well. And then Mercury, we're still having that strong Mercury in Aquarius. So again, throughout the weekend and for the weeks to come, we are thinking clearly, speaking clearly as well. So that is, we can pretty much use that however we wish as well. So that's really excellent as well. And then lastly, going to Sunday, February 20th. Moon is still in Libra, so that continues this kind of chill weekend vibes. I really love this for a Sunday because, again, it looks really peaceful, really relaxing. You can kind of take a step back and just kind of chill this weekend. These energies look really great for that. But also, like I said, for Saturday, if you do need to get work done, Venus and Mars are helping us do that. They're helping us be productive and enjoy getting some work done as well if we need to do that. Enjoying setting down the structure, restructuring our lives as well. So that's really great. Um, yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of pressure here. There's not a lot of squares. There's not a lot of intense, tense aspects. So that's really great. The one tense aspect that there is, though, is America's exact Pluto return. I haven't addressed that yet, since the beginning of this video. So I already talked a lot about that. So I feel like most of you should already know my take on it by now. But yeah, it's America's first Pluto return. Most countries don't live past their first Pluto return. They either disintegrate along the way, or if they are fortunate enough and worthy enough to make it to their first Pluto return, this is a test. This is, um, what it's almost like a death in a way. When we complete one cycle, something ends there, and never comes back sometimes. And when one cycle ends, the question is how much has to end for this country. Pluto will just destroy, will terminate anything that is not worthy, anything that's not of value or of ethics. Anything that's not true. Anyone who's being deceptive or sneaky, Pluto will just completely incinerate that. So on the one hand, this can be daunting. This can be Pluto can be destructive, and it can be scary. Intense change, transformational change, can be terrifying, and too much change will kill you. We can only tolerate so much change. Change is, of course, good and can be idolized at times. But yeah, too much change will also kill you. So, so it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of emotions going on, and we can all observe how there's this huge transformation happening in society. I think that's pretty obvious. Um, the question, though, again, is, does the whole nation have to crumble, or, what is it at its core? Pluto looks to things at its core. It has a lot in common with Scorpio. Go right to the core. Is the core rotten, or is the core of integrity? And then from there, and it's hard to know sometimes. It's not a clear-cut answer, but from there, we have to destroy whatever is not working and make room for the new. And, it just depends on how bad things really are as to how much has to be destroyed. So these are not easy things that occur by any means. But typically, if a nation does live past its first Pluto return, it can often live to the second one. So, in other words, if it survives its first 250 years, it can often live another 250 more. And I think with Rome did 2 or 3 Pluto returns, something like that. I don't remember. Or the Ottoman Empire did multiple Pluto returns. Um, so that's I don't know, maybe kind of daunting or intimidating for sure. I think this could be kind of scary for us. But at the same time, like I said at the beginning of this video, I think we've gotten a little bit closer where we can kind of see how this will go a little bit. And to me, it looks positive. I think people are waking up on a massive level. And, if we look back to what happened for America's birth, because we're basically experiencing all of that again, we're experiencing a second revolution. Um, and later in the 2020s, I talked about this in the first video I ever posted on this channel. So you can go back to that, or I can link it in the description maybe. But there's other things happening later this decade. America is having, another revolutionary war. It's almost having another civil war as well. And there's also a world war happening too. These events that happen for every 84 years in America's history, if we start with the Revolutionary War, we go one Uranus cycle, or one, 84-year period later, and you get the Civil War. And then you go 84 years after that, you get World War II. And then you go 84 years after that, and you get the mid-2020s. So we're entering this period now that's almost like a Revolutionary War, a Civil War, and a World War, all happening at the same time. Like the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. This is a lot to handle, and I don't know. I think we might want to be compassionate of one another, because there's so much divisiveness and so much putting us against each other. There's so much, conflicting information that a lot of people have just said, screw it. Like, I just won't try to understand what's happening, because, this person says one thing, but then someone else says something different. And there's so many lies and so much corruption that it's hard to even tell where the corruption is coming from, or who they say they are and who isn't, and who should we believe. And this won't get clear soon. With the sun in Pisces, Pisces is almost like a dream time. I think it was Leo King who said, after a heavy Pisces transit, it's almost like you wake up and you go like, what even just happened? It's almost like we're kind of lulled asleep during Pisces and we don't even really realize it. And with Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune all in Pisces, two of which are in domicile there, we're entering a fog time. We're entering a slumber, a sleep time. So on the one hand, a lot is happening, a lot is changing in a very radical way, huge transformation. But on the other hand, it's almost like we're just going to sleep, and we won't wake up until a couple years from now. Starting in the mid-2020s, we're going to get a lot of yang energy, a lot of fire energy, which is really different from all this Capricorn we've been having for the start of this decade. So anyway, I've been rambling on, but as for Sunday, it is technically the Pluto return. This is a long-term aspect, though, so something may happen that's kind of a trigger point, like an earthquake of sorts, not literally, but metaphorically. There may be kind of that release of pressure or of tension through maybe a major event, maybe a political event. It may not happen, though. This is a long-term thing, so this is just the epicenter of a large transformation, basically. So it's something that's already been happening. And so if Sunday goes by and you go, wow, nothing happened, look around. We're in the middle of it now. This is a huge transformation. So anyway, it's really nothing to worry about. I think everything will be fine. And putting that aside, it looks like a chill weekend. So anyway, I hope this helps. Hope this is enjoyable for you. But yeah, very interesting times. I hope you are all doing well, and that's what I have for this week. So stay tuned for next week. There's a bit of this and that going on. Mercury's speeding up, so Mercury will start giving us a lot more aspects again. We also have a third quarter moon that's kind of shaking things up. And then beginning of March, we have that America's Neptune opposition. So more interesting things to come for sure. But thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys later. And if you do need to reach out to me for whatever reason, if you have a question or a comment or would like a reading, just email me. It's manic.mercurian@gmail.com. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.